I'm Jim Ogata. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Thailand in 1974. That's when I went, and I was a 4-year volunteer till 1978. So what I did, I was a rural development works civil engineer, and so we helped the villagers make roads, toilets, water supply, water resources projects. And I was there at an interesting time in the history of Southeast Asia, because the Vietnam War ended in 1975. So I was in that period, and I wound up helping build refugee camps. Many refugee camps, Laotian, Cambodian, and even Vietnamese. And a lot of hill tribes people too that came out of Laos. And I spent then I became a Peace Corps staff for 3 years to help the rural development projects, get started. And I trained a lot of Peace Corps volunteers, Canadian, even Japanese volunteers after that. I got involved in the building of the refugee camps for the Cambodians on the eastern border of Thailand. It was made famous by that movie, Killing Fields. So I was there when we were building these camps for UNHCR. And I stayed in Thailand for another 25 years. After that, I worked in the Prime Minister's office. I worked with the State Department, USAID, during this period. And then I also, after that experience, I worked for several different corporations in the private sector as a civil engineer. And so that was my experience in Southeast Asia. I really liked it. It was very enjoyable. My wife is also Thai, and my 2 children, Doug and Krista, were born in Bangkok. Yeah. And I returned to the United States in the year 2000. Right.
So I'm Rob Hessler, and I was in Thailand Group 46, and that was 1973 to 1975. And then I stayed over another 6 months to help train the follow-up group. My job involved working with the Thai Public Health Ministry. I worked in their malaria eradication program in north central Thailand, and it covered 3 provinces, Nakhon Sawan, Uthai Thani, and Chai Nat. And what I got to do on my job basically was health education regarding malaria, the causes of it, how to prevent it. We took blood samples from people that thought they might have malaria to determine whether they did or not. We administered medication for people that were diagnosed with malaria. And then we also I also supervised spray teams. We would go into villages and spray the interior walls of homes. Unfortunately with DDT, which today is not a very good chemical to be using, but nevertheless back in the early 70s it was a popular anti-malarial product. So that was the basic part of the job. The training for it included a week or 2 at Center for Disease Control in Atlanta, Georgia, and then I did in-country language and cross-cultural training in Thailand. And the language was very difficult to learn. It's a tonal language, but I managed to get fairly fluent because that would be all I would hear typically for a week or 2 when I was out in the villages doing my job. Interesting vignette. Well, twice a year, my Peace Corps office would send people out into the jungle areas along the Burmese border to work with the hill tribe villagers who had malaria endemically. And the interesting challenge to that was that the hill tribes were not patriotic to Thailand, they weren't patriotic to Burma, they were kind of slash and burn farmers. They moved around a lot. So when all my Thai coworkers would go in there, and we'd go in with elephants loading equipment, my Thai coworkers were pretty nervous about it because a lot of the hill tribe folks were kind of counterinsurgency folks. And for me, it was just going to another village with more people I wasn't familiar with, so it wasn't a problem for me. But it was very rewarding to go into that kind of environment where I was the only Westerner involved. A lot of fun work. I benefited a lot from it, and I think I made a difference doing that work.
Sure. I'm Tara Johnson. I served in Thailand from 1993 to 1995, and I was in Nakhon Ratchasima, which is Karat, and I can't think of a village that's near that though, so that's a major city. Fresh cut pineapple. I just love that you could get fresh cut pineapple every day, anytime you wanted. Well, definitely got caught in the rain many times, which was actually refreshing sometimes because it was so hot in Thailand. But I had a bike, and so I would bike from wherever I was going home to work or work home. And one time I remember I wasn't that far from home, probably a mile or two, and it just started to pour. And I just had to keep biking home, soaking wet, but it was refreshing.
My name is Mark Troy. I was Peace Corps Thailand in 1972 to 1975. I taught English as a foreign language in the College of Education in Phitsanulok, Thailand for 2 years, and then spent a year teaching at the University of Chiang Mai in Chiang Mai, Thailand. The most amazing thing, shortly after getting into country, getting into my assignment, I was sitting at my desk in the education building, and this very cute Thai student wearing her uniform blouse and her uniform skirt enters the door, and as she approaches through the door, she starts sinking lower and lower and lower until she is at my desk on her knees, because the Thais do not like to have their heads higher. It's taboo to have your heads higher than somebody who is superior to you. And so she was coming to ask something about my class, and I was dumbfounded. I had never experienced anything like this before. This show of respect. I'd never shown that sort of respect to my teachers.